Okay, go for it, Mr. Chair.
That's great. I'm glad to see that. And I think we've got everybody we're going to have, other than maybe I don't expect Kevin. Has anyone had any offline contact with Kevin? No.
No.
Okay.
No. You sound like you're a bit in an echo chamber, Kyle.
I do.
Yeah, a little bit. You don't sound quite clear for some reason. Sharon, do you hear that as well, or?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm at the home office, which I hope that doesn't mess things up here. I'm on the other machine. So
Well, we
I
can
can hear you okay.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phone's off. Okay. I just had the
Oh, I could turn my virtual.
give me a second here. It took me a little longer than I planned to get connected through the Zoom site. So I guess the special meetings aren't on the calendar. It's just the regular meetings because the notation on the calendar for the county says that today's meeting is canceled. I got into Zoom to set it. It said it was at 4 today. And so anyway, we got it fixed and here we are. So we're recording for the roll call. We just have Commissioners Fuller, Abreu, and Davies sharing. What we wanted to try and do today was basically twofold with a special. And if we don't see any public comment, we had set it for I see it put in the minutes it was 5:20 when it's supposed to be 2:20, or in the rather. So make sure we've got all the minutes organized, and there've been a couple of different chain conversations about that, and then talk about the recommendations, which I think look pretty concise, and then maybe just discuss tomorrow's or the council meeting Q&A, and then go from there. So I can see us finishing in an hour. Hopefully. Okay. So one of the pieces that is really left to do, this being potentially our last committee meeting, is to make sure we have all of the minutes representing all of the meetings that we've had, special and otherwise, and then making sure those get approved for the website and for Catherine and for posting.
Mhm.
So I have a list. I have listed all the ones that were recorded. Looks like all the ones that have written minutes to accompany a meeting date are underlined. And so we need to cross-check this, and I'll take the time to do that now with you. So the only one only one I'm not sure about beyond our special meeting, which remind me the date of our special Sunday meeting with Randy.
It was the 11th of July.
Okay, great.
So Mr. Chair, if I may, I did before our call, I just went back to see where we were in the meeting on the 30th with things outstanding. And then I went on the website to see what wasn't posted and looked at Sharon's minutes from our meeting on the 30th. And I was able to come up with a short list of what's still left to be done from May and June and July.
Okay.
Are you okay if I just run through that quickly?
Sure, yes.
Okay, so starting earlier in May, Sharon noted for us that the May 10th meeting minutes were approved in the May 17th meeting. And Sharon, you confirmed that for us on the 30th in our June 30th meeting, but they haven't been posted. So whoever has them, and I don't, they need to be posted, whatever was approved.
I don't understand why. I mean, I thought that you mean you don't have them at all? How did they? You don't have them?
No, maybe Kyle has them, but I don't have them because Kyle and I were sharing the chair roles. So,
right. So that could get a little confusing at times.
yeah.
Who's got what? And who's getting it to Olivia or Catherine to post on the website?
That's right. That's right. So Kyle, do you have the May 10th minutes that we apparently approved? Oops, you're muted.
I'm muted.
Okay, now you're not. While Kyle's looking, Sharon, I can confirm that I sent today and I copied you both the April 26th meeting minutes that were approved that I had on my hard drive that hadn't been sent to Catherine. So I sent those to Catherine and Olivia today. The April 26th ones that were approved and asked if they could post those. So the next date after that is the May 10th ones because we didn't have a meeting on the 30th of April. And so the May, or not the 30th, that first week in May, that would have been the 3rd, I guess, of May. The May 10th, as you said, were approved, but weren't posted. So I don't have record of those in my,
I could send them to you right now if you want.
okay, and I can just send them to
Both of you.
Catherine.
I'm going to send them to both of you right now. Hang on, I'll just get back.
Okay,
into
Kyle,
my
do you want me just to send those to Catherine to be
Outlook.
posted then?
If they're ready, yeah. They don't need anything from me. That'd be great. So you're gonna send April 26th.
I've already sent those, yeah. And
Okay.
then it's
No, nothing May 3rd, so then May 10.
yeah, the May 10, and if Sharon sends those to me, I'll send them to Catherine.
Okay, I am finding the agendas.
And then Sharon, what I had next from your minutes on the 30th of June was that you'd taken minutes on May 4th when you were in the car and you found them on your computer, and you were gonna finish those or whatever and send them on to us. So did you send those to us and I missed them?
I think I did, but I can certainly easily enough resend them.
Okay, because I'm,
Okay, here comes May. I just sent you guys off May 10th.
okay.
Now you want me to send you May 24th? Is that right?
Yeah, I didn't, for some
Okay.
reason I didn't see those, but I may have just missed them.
It's so easy to lose track of these things.
Oh, I know, I know,
Especially the search function on this thing is pretty
know.
awful.
I know.
Okay, so let's see.
Read
May
minutes from oh, I got them. Wait, no, you said, what did you say? I can do that. You said, oh, it's the last email I had from you on this. It looks like it said you can do that in terms of turning those into minutes, but I didn't actually get them from you.
Which, May 24th?
Yeah. On the 30th.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the 30th, oh, wait. Attached to the, oh, it is
Oh.
attached to the minutes. Okay, you're right, sorry. Oh, okay, here they are.
So now you should have just received May 10th and May 24th.
Okay, so we didn't review these minutes for the 24th though. So do we need to look at those before we approve them?
Yeah, let's do
Sure,
that.
let's do it.
Let's actually make sure we've got everything, and then we'll do them all at once if we can. So we got May 10, May 24. Didn't meet on the 3rd. The 20th, we're all good for April. So I'm going to back up and just say April, I couldn't open them, so they're not a link. Everything from March 22nd, so April 5, 12, 14, 26, 7th, May 17th. Those are all listed on the CRC website, but they're not hot links. So
Okay.
that would assume that they're not, they're actually not there, or they're not searchable. So that doesn't mean we didn't deal with them and approve them. Those are meeting date placeholders, and they didn't get them.
I'm able to open them, Kyle, on my end.
From the website, from the county website.
Yep. Yeah, I'm able to open them. Yeah,
Okay.
they're all opening for me. There's no problem.
Okay, perfect. All right, never mind then. All right, so we've got 510, 524.
So 510 Sharon sent to me, and we already approved those in the May 17 meeting, and it says that in the May 17 notes.
Okay.
It says approval of minutes from May 10. So those are ready to be posted. I'll just send them to Catherine.
Okay.
April 26th, as I said before, by the way, Kyle, they're not there, but I just sent those this afternoon because we'd already approved them and they've been, and I had them in my computer noted approved and I just never sent them. I had a PDF and a Word version of approved April 26th meeting minutes. So I felt confident that if I sent those on, they were already approved.
Okay, so then that leaves us May 24 we need to read and approve.
Right?
And what are the last, so June 30th. So between May 24 and June 30th,
We didn't meet.
we didn't meet at all.
No.
So then other than this meeting, and we got, Sharon, you sent out the notes for the meeting with Randy. I remember seeing those. Did we approve those?
No, not yet. We haven't approved June 30th, July 11th, or May 24th.
And you have all of those now?
Yep.
Okay.
So
Feel
I'm
like
looking
there's
at
another meeting.
the May 24th on my computer now.
Could this actually happen? Could we? Did we? I don't know that we really did severability. I remember
We
that
didn't.
conversation.
We didn't ever do that.
I guess for the recommendations, although you've sort of worded it already, assuming that the commission develops, then the council membership on the council would be thus and so. So that's good. Okay.
Oh, wait, sorry. What are you looking at now, Kyle?
Just remembering what you sent today for your recommendations. I skipped ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
In the May 24th minutes that I sent, I realized I included some information. We had a discussion after the meeting, and I took some notes on that. So that probably shouldn't be submitted with the minutes, because that was
That's-
actually after the meeting ended.
That's correct. And that's the same for the July 11th meeting. I saw the same thing. So
Mhm.
we,
Did I? I have so much trouble keeping track of what I've submitted.
do you want me to
or
clean that
not.
out?
It really wasn't up to me to submit them anyway, but
Exactly. Do you want me just to strip that out of the May 24 then? Sharon?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll just strip that out clean.
Just ended where the meeting ended. That's good.
Yep. Okay, so we're still looking at May 24, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Okay.
You read all that you need to read there?
What's that? Sorry?
Have you read through it already and you're ready?
Yeah. Yep. I'm okay if you guys
Why
are.
don't I have July 11th among my meeting minutes here? I don't have July 11th.
You sent them to us because I have them open on my computer.
Well, no, you know what the thing was? I created a special folder just for minutes. And I guess that
Gotcha.
didn't get in there, but I don't see it here. Where is it? Oh, that was July 11th, huh? Not July 9th.
I would accept a motion to approve the May 24 minutes
Seconded.
as adjusted with the ending taken off, the after closure, the after recording stuff removed. Jane's going to do that.
Done.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Guys have it.
Okay.
All right, let's fast forward then and make sure June 30th everyone's happy.
Okay.
I would just love to know what the heck I did with the minutes from that July 11th meeting. I have June 30th, and I don't have anything after that.
Oh, well, because yeah, you definitely sent them to us. Do you need them, Sharon?
Um,
You want me to send them back to you?
yeah,
You tell
yeah, thanks.
me,
Okay.
you want to
Oh.
do a certain file?
Oh, no, that's an agenda. That's not it.
Okay, here you go. I'm just sending them back to you so you have them again.
Oh, you know what? You know what? Because I created a special folder for that meeting because that was the meeting we had with Randy.
Okay, I just
so-
sent them to you again. Okay.
I got it. I actually have it.
Okay. Excellent.
But I should have put it with my other minutes, and this is where I get confused when I start creating too many folders to try to stay organized.
Yeah, right, exactly.
All right. Whew.
Okay.
Does this mean is May 30 missing, or we just didn't have a meeting then, but we thought we would? We thought we did.
I don't believe we did because I look back in my calendar and we ended up having a full CRC meeting at 10 to 12 on that day. That's what I have in my calendar. Does that sound familiar to you guys?
I have to go back and check. I have to go back and check. Check it, dude.
Okay, I'm just putting in my, okay, just putting those there. My approved, okay. So I'm just going on the website, see if there was a full CRC meeting on the 31st. Agenda and minutes. Yep, there was a full CRC meeting on May 31st. It was a special CRC meeting. So unless we had a meeting before that, which I don't have in my calendar, we didn't have, and I don't have an agenda in my agenda folder for a May 31st meeting. Kyle, unless you do.
Okay, yeah, I recall that now.
What's that?
That we use that time slot for a full for a full.
Yeah, I don't believe we had him. There's no record in my folders for an agenda or for minutes of a May 31st meeting. And I don't have any record in my notebook either. Yeah, just going back just to see here. Nope.
Okay, Sharon, are you looking still on your screen at June 30?
Am I looking at the June 30th minutes?
Yeah.
No, but I could bring them up easily enough. Would you like me to do that?
I just have one
Okay.
one correction.
Hey, commissioners, I can confirm we did not have a meeting on the 31st of May of the Justice and Equity Subcommittee. We had an executive committee meeting on the Saturday, May 29th. And then we had a full CRC on the Monday from 10 to 12. And that was to go over the recommendations and amendments.
Okay.
You'll recall that meeting where we had the spreadsheet that the full CRC went over on the 31st. And
Right.
yeah, so we didn't have a J&E meeting on the 31st. All right.
Okay, so Sharon, I'm looking at number 3 when you get there.
On June 30th, Kyle?
30, yes.
Okay.
Okay,
all
I'm
right.
there.
recommendations previously, I'm not sure what that means. They were previously amendments then, the recommendations? Okay,
Yeah, there were some amendments that became recommendations.
right. Can we, is that a word? Can you write in there or is that a PDF right now?
I
No,
can,
I've got a Word file.
yeah, Sharon, I can do it too if you want.
I
Oh,
just
great, okay.
clarified. So agreement on recommendations, just something that tells the reader, because this might be relevant down the road.
Okay. Okay, so you guys, which were previously voted on as amendments by the full CRC? But
Had they been voted on yet, or were
yeah,
the recommendations
yeah,
were okay? Yeah, something like that. Then that I'm not. There's a thought process in here for I guess whoever took notes. If that's you, Sharon, the who and when. I'm just not quite following. To be submitted to the county council. Okay, that part I
By
get.
the CRC, I think who was going to submit it and when was it going to get submitted? I think is what that meant. Otherwise, I don't know.
oh
what
yeah,
it-
so yeah. Okay, so what I'm following you guys, what I've got here, I've adjusted the wording so far to say agreement on recommendations, comma, which were previously voted on as amendments by the full CRC, but were transformed into recommendations by the CRC. I know it sounds wordy, but to be submitted to the full CRC once again. No, to be submitted to
Council.
to the county council with the agreement of the full CRC.
Long, yes, but it clears it up. That's what I was after in number 3.
Okay.
That captures where that conversation kind of landed.
Okay, to be submitted to the county council.
See, what people don't
with-
realize, they know that I type really fast, but they don't know that I'm also ADD. So it's like I'm doing my best to try to, track with everything.
Need that to be a clause at the beginning of all your notes. I like that. It's fun. Read at your own risk or something like that.
Okay,
Okay, that's helpful. And then above it, just to be clear, so number 2, finalization of text of 2 of the 3 proposed amendments. Do we need to put in David's suggested changes in any more detail?
no,
Because they've been changed and changed back.
no,
So,
absolutely not. No, we're going, I would say no, not necessarily. It was recorded in the session anyway. That, because it was changed
Right.
and changed back because of the lawyer's opinion and then changed again. It's just getting too convoluted.
okay, I would accept an amendment or
Oh, pause, Mr. Chair. I do have one question just above that on points 1 and 2. Points 2, Alexis Freddy. I have no idea what that means in bullet point with Dolan. What on earth does that mean?
These were names that were mentioned. They went by really quickly. I tried the best I could to capture them. I didn't go back to watch the video to try to figure it out. I figured somebody would know and just be able to clarify that.
Okay, I'm not sure who Dolan. Does anyone know what name reference that is?
No idea.
Okay, Alexis, Mrs. Freedy is the superintendent of the national park here. And she was going to be one of the people to consult with over the land acknowledgement statement and the background of working with tribes and open conversation. And I'm not sure, okay, in bullet point with Dolan. Kyle had 2 corrections. Okay, gave credit to Emma. Dolan. I'm not sure. think it would require looking at. I have to look at the May 10 notes, so I can do that.
Yeah, because those corrections were from you, so I figured you'd know what they meant.
My question right now is this: we're talking about the approval on the 17th of the May 10 minutes. So May 10. All right. I think I can clean this up here. So I would just ask either one of you, if you don't have anything else on that, then that's pretty much ready to go. And then we just need to, all right, I'm into the May 10 one. Where does it come?
Alexis and Joe Dolan,
Joe Dolan, okay.
the Native American liaison. And Alexis is, her last name is,
Spelling is wrong, so maybe that was a correction. Her last name is Fredy, F-R-E-D-Y.
uh-huh. Okay, so
Oh,
it was
Dolan
just,
wasn't, that's not my note. I'm not sure who Joe is. Do I know?
is that Kevin's? So,
I think I was just pointing out during those notes, I was just pointing out that her name was spelled. It was just a spelling change.
okay, so I'm gonna go back. Okay, which ones are we looking at here? Okay, we're not looking at the 10th, we're looking at,
We're in June 30.
sorry, just one sec. Which meeting minutes are we looking at again? I've lost track.
June 30th, I think we were.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's spelling of,
Superintendent
Okay.
Fredy. So just put, and yeah, that's where that, and in the bullet with Dolan was a reference to where in those notes it was. So it's a spelling, Alexis was a spelling, it was a spelling correction.
okay, Elexis, is that E-L-I-X-I-S? No,
E-L,
L-E-X-I-S. Okay, and that's it, right?
that's all it was. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I've made a note of that. Otherwise, is that it?
And that was Joe Dolan?
Joe Dolan. Yes.
Okay, but that's, okay, so Sharon, I'm currently in the June 30th minutes. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just making those edits.
All right. I should probably make them in mine too, but
Okay,
it doesn't really matter. I mean, you've got the final version that you're going to be sending to Catherine and Olivia, right?
Yeah, and I'll be copying you guys as well.
Great. Okay. Good.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, did you want to make a motion? With those two edits having been made?
I'm just double checking. So just for reference, Mr. Dolan is also a National Park employee, just for.
They both
so
are?
with both of those, both Mr. Dolan and Mrs. Fredy, Alexis and Joe are both NPS employees.
Okay.
But I don't know I don't know, we're just correcting the spelling.
Yeah, I just made a little note of that as well anyway, just so it's in there. Okay, excellent. I think we're good.
Okay, I move the acceptance as corrected of the June 30 CRC Committee on Justice and Equity minutes as corrected.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great, okay.
All right.
For posting unanimously. So this leaves us July 11 and then whatever we want to do with July 19 and today.
Right.
That is today.
Right, July 10 and today.
So I read through these. Thank you, Sharon. One thing I noted was, and Sharon, if you want me to go ahead and make the edits as we're talking, that's good, because I'm going to send all of these anyway when
Yeah.
we're done the meeting, and then you don't have to deal with them again. I noted that we stopped the meeting, we adjourned the meeting at 6:30. That's on the last page of the existing minutes, and there's still some notes. I was going to suggest we delete those notes after the meeting adjourned.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was just an informal
Yeah.
discussion about going
Okay.
forward.
So I read through the rest of them, and they really are essentially a transcript of, of what we deliberated. And I mean, without starting to go through and parsing words, and for me, they're a reflection of the discussion that was had. I didn't have any particular issues with them. Kyle, yourself or Sharon?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely edit them down, but I thought that it might be helpful to keep that discussion in there.
That is my that's my inclination, Sharon, just because it was a pretty important meeting.
Yeah.
I did have a footnote I want to share with you after we've approved these minutes, that I'd be happy to have go on the record, because I might actually put it in writing to the prosecuting attorney. So I'll share my footnote with you after we've approved these meeting minutes.
Okay, before we do, if you can, who's making changes?
I'll
right
make the
now?
changes. I'll make the changes.
If you can find and replace Kane, Kane, with Cain, where that occurs.
Okay, so just one sec. Okay, so sorry, repeat that.
Oh,
The one there is Kane.
yeah.
Find and replace Kane with Cain.
And it's Jon, isn't it, too?
Jon, no H, right?
No H, right? Yeah.
No H, no H. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know at that point.
That's okay.
Okay. All right. All right. Almost done that. I think we only noticed it in 2 places. Okay.
Yeah, there's only two places.
Okay. Anything else?
Red eye in quotes. I know that was. So I think it's meant to be capital REDI as opposed to the term REDEYE.
Where's this?
Sorry,
Where is it?
up to the top of page 3.
Yeah.
Under discussion on justice and equity, including Randy's older sister Lisa, second line, they call it quote red eye. In fact, just REDI
Yeah.
for respect.
Yeah.
I've taken too many ferries.
And it should be Catholic Relief Services. Yeah.
Okay, I think my first pass, I didn't make any other notes, so I just have to read it again, which I don't feel I need to do. Okay, we have those reflected somewhere.
Yep.
Okay, I would accept I'm just double checking for Kane because it just steps out. You only found it in 2 spots, so good. Okay. I would accept a motion to approve these minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes put forward.
Seconded.
Okay. For the record, this is July 11th, Justice and Equity special meeting with the prosecuting attorney. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No opposed. Okay. July 11th special meeting minutes passes unanimously and be sent and posted.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right.
Would you like me to share screen on your recommendations. I think
Uh,
that I
yeah.
think that covers. Is there anything to discuss with?
With regard to minutes?
Well, for anything else other than this meeting, can we do an email approval of any minutes that are taken for today or any notes?
I don't know. Do you guys know the answer to that?
As otherwise, you can't ever have a last meeting. I don't know. I don't know how you do it.
Hmm.
There will be more. We're talking about the recommendations that should be on the legal record. We'll get that. So there's something from today worth capturing and approving.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Make sure that the votes get counted. But I guess
you,
if we had to have another brief meeting sometime this or next week just to approve minutes, we could do that. Discuss
do,
no other business.
do we know whether we need to do that or whether we can just approve them by email exchange?
I don't think we need to.
Okay. Why don't we find that out? And if we can just approve them by email, the July 19th minutes, once they're prepared, then we proceed that way.
Yeah, okay. I just want to go over, today we approved May 24th, June 30th, July 7th, and July 11th. Is that right?
We haven't approved the
We approved May 24, June 30, and July 11th.
July 11th, not July 7th. Okay.
No.
and we
Okay.
agreed April 26th and 10th could be sent as is.
Mm-hmm.
So that
So I'll send all 5 of these and copy you.
how's
4. Okay. So Kyle, do we want to find out if we can approve our July 19th minutes by email?
Yes, we'll do that with Catherine right after this meeting. In fact, I might write it now.
Okay. All right. By the way, my little footnote that I wanted to share with you.
Please go ahead.
I was in the process, as you can appreciate, of going back into our findings and the discussion paper and the findings that we developed and presented for our work on the on the previous amendments, some of which turned into recommendations. And in the course of that was also looking into what we always agreed would be a recommendation on the Law and Justice Council, not an amendment. And I wanted to remind all of you, and I'm going to be reminding the prosecuting attorney of this as well. And if you'll allow me to share a screen, I feel if it's possible for me to share this, I'm not sure that it is, but because I don't know if I can share a website, I probably can't. Do any of you know?
Sure.
Is that possible to share a website or not?
It should be. Yeah, you should be able to share it, whatever's on your desktop. So if you can't, you can. I know it might not be as fun for you to not be able to control the scroll and all that, but if you want me to.
Okay, let me
Yeah.
give this a shot. Okay, I'm gonna try and share the screen on this if I'm able. So I'll just try this, and then I just ask you to give me maybe 3 minutes for this. And if I'm not successful, I will holler out and say, "Help! I cannot do this." Oh, here it is. Okay, I think I can do this. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Good, thank you. So this is in relation to something that occurred quite recently, which is the discussion we had regarding on July 11th with our prosecuting attorney regarding the overlap of anything that the proposed Justice, Equity, and Inclusion Commission might do in relation to the judicial branch of government, and how in writing, he provided his advice that was very, very clear that not only is it not recommended, it's potentially illegal and overlaps separation of powers. Well, Pierce County in 2020, the county council passed a resolution that struck a public review committee. And so the council struck this public review committee to do, as you can see, the following. It was formed under this resolution and tasked 14 members of the public with reviewing Pierce County's policies, procedures, and practices employed by county law and justice systems per Resolution 2020-43 to inform council in its development of an action plan to create equitable, diverse, inclusive, and fair policies, procedures, and best practices. Okay. These are the individuals who represented the different districts, 2 people from each district of the county of Pierce County, and a retired Superior Court judge was the facilitator of this said review committee. So this is what the purview of the Law and Justice Review. It indeed covered the following branches and their departmental internal reports: executive, judicial, sheriff's department, and prosecuting attorney's office. And it went through what we learned, and there's all manner of interesting data that they discovered, committee observations, you know, the need for certain things to be done to address systemic racism and so on and so forth, and observations and recommendations to these branches of the government, etc. And you will see as you scroll through this major themes of the review: the sheriff's department, the prosecuting attorney's office, the superior and district courts, and medical examiner, economic development, and other impacts. And then a full report was provided. So I'm going to stop sharing there.
No.
And I would just like to reflect with you all that I do very much remember sending this information to the prosecuting attorney's office months ago and sharing with him, indeed, other charter counties in our state have done this kind of work. And I was remiss because I didn't push back further on this and say, well, actually, county council struck such a review body, and it was led by a retired Superior Court justice. And so I am nothing but shocked, frankly, and really dismayed and disheartened that we would be given such a hard press by a prosecuting attorney that would say that nothing that we are proposing that this commission wanted to do, that actually much of it was on his own mind anyway, is even legal, but rather a violation of the state law's separation of powers. So I feel very problematized by this. It's obviously too late to do much about, but I do feel in effect that so striking are the findings of this review and the recommendations of this review that went to the county council early this year in February, I believe, of 2021, and the proceedings from that are on the record on the Pierce County website. So struck am I by this and how it is juxtaposed to the very strong advice and recommendations given by our prosecuting attorney, which I can say were nothing but misleading in this regard. And so I'm sharing this with you because I'm not happy with where we were put in our deliberations because of the advice of the prosecuting attorney, and I have an issue with this. And I'm not entirely sure how to resolve it, and I don't necessarily want to go on record on that right now on my further thinking about this, other than to say, I feel very strongly this should be brought to the full attention of the CRC. So I am interested in your thoughts on this without belaboring a discussion of it.
Did that make it into the findings?
That specific one, that specific example, I don't recall. I know I could find an email record of it, sharing it with the prosecuting attorney's office. I would need to spend a little bit of time going back and digging.
No, I wouldn't bother. I was just going to say, I mean, I appreciate some of the public comment last week and the week before about, findings. I can't remember the legal term, but they should all be materials that were shared during the deliberations, and they are. So I think by nature, they should be included in any findings. And I don't know. My first sense, Jane, is that if it bears on a decision and actually can steer a particular effort or future action by the CRC, it's one thing, but we've kind of passed that bridge, I think, is my feeling. Unless you think it somehow informs or clarifies the recommendation to council about the Law and Justice Council. I think maybe an email is a start. I wouldn't do more than an email at this point.
Okay, yeah, and I absolutely take your point. I guess what I have a bit of an issue with is how starkly this points out that our prosecuting attorney was really just opposed to the notion of this commission and was finding reasons not to allow it to happen. He actually has stated in writing in one of his legal opinions that he's not aware of any such body that exists that has this kind of power. And so I could spend quite a bit of time pulling up the information I have in hand that is disputing on his side sort of the allowability of this by law. And and so that's nothing just more than disturbing to me, because I just feel it's very misleading, and I feel that he's actually misled other commissioners with some of his advice in this regard. So that's
Well,
what's disturbing to me.
yeah, where it does weigh in, I think it's relevant, and maybe there's room to take action. I think it'd be appropriate to send it to his office again as a link,
Okay.
because there is this ongoing piece of, he can tell whatever story, not that he would, but he can continue to have his frame of reference and mindset, and even legal position based on either not reading this when you first sent it, or conveniently forgetting it. I don't know what the circumstance is, but he should see it again, because we still have this period where his office and any conversations can still impact how other people are, what and how his office shares about whether our motion is legal, or
Yeah.
has merit, or is. So I would caution us not to share it at the CRC level again, because all it does is, well, I don't know what it does, but I don't think it has the gravity that it does to send to him directly. And I don't know what the CRC would do about it, I guess, at this point. Now, if it gets to a place where we say, let's go through findings or something, there was, Maureen put out that appeal to get all the committee chairs together and have another think session, so that we could all talk, more directly, potentially respond to council more directly about our findings and action. There's certainly could be a place where this should come up again, but at this point, unless there's a venue where we're talking about how to manage the public's understanding of our work, I think it should just go back to Randy's office.
Okay.
That's not maybe as satisfying, or it's not the same closure, but that's how I would do it.
Yeah, okay. I guess my question for you would be, why would I not copy the full CRC on that?
You could,
Hmm.
and I don't see any reason why not. The difference is somebody choosing to read it versus taking time to, I think if your subject line or your entry, your lead in for sharing it was something like what you just said to us, we based some of our action on the past activities of other charter counties, not just the recommended Snohomish County from the prosecuting attorney's office, then the story is there and plain again, especially if you didn't share it before with the whole CRC. And I don't remember that happening. So
No, I will go back. I'll go back and trace my emails, including to his office on this stuff. And this would have been back in about April. I will go back and look at because there was a period where I was forwarding him a lot of information I was finding online about how other law and justice councils functioned, and the transparency with which they operated, the fact that they had representation of community members on them. And so there was a period when I was sharing a lot of information with him, including the existence of this review body. So I'll just need to retrace my steps, which I'm prepared to do.
I appreciate you spending that time going back to do that.
Okay, Sharon, your thoughts on this at all? Or I'm just curious if you have a view on whether I were to prepare an email just to remind the prosecuting attorney that indeed it appears that they're actually quite similar and even more bold things that have been done by other charter counties.
I just want to be sure that I'm understanding. I remember the advice that Randy was giving us saying you cannot include the judicial branch. But that was not that was related to the advisory committee that we want to create, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not to the
Mm-hmm.
Law and Justice, the pre-existing Law and Justice Committee. Obviously,
Right.
because that has to include the judicial branch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. But
But
he was also
so
telling
that's why
us early
that's
on.
I was just what
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, all I was going to say was
No, you
what's
go. That's
interesting
okay.
about what this review body did was what he said it cannot do, which is to review the work of any of these offices, including his own and including those of the judges. And that's exactly what this review body did, is
Hmm.
to look at some of the work of the offices.
Yeah. And I was just confused about what was the name of this committee, the one that we're
Oh, the one that we're talking about, it was
yeah,
the,
from Pierce
hold on a
County.
sec, just let me see. It was, it was the Public Review Committee.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
and
Okay.
And it was mandated to conduct a law and justice review.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where it gets a little confusing because it's that law and justice language. But that's yeah. Okay, so now I think I'm clear on it, and yeah, I think we should resubmit it to Randy, and if it's going to make a difference in our final product and our final outcome, then we should bring it back to the CRC.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not so sure it would, I guess, because, of how far along we are, but to Kyle's point, in terms of the dialogue and discussion that commissioners have going forward between now and the November ballot, for me, it points out that this commission could come up with an action plan that does have relevance to these different branches of government, contrary to what advice we were given by the prosecuting attorney. And that's what it's an example of. I just wish we had more time, which we don't. But anyway,
I
I
wish we
just
had
need,
more time, and I wish we could know what people's really just know what people's motivations are.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, I just want to know if you're not in opposition to my idea of, at least just for informational purposes, sharing this with the prosecuting attorney's office again, citing the previous time I sent it, and just, you know, bringing to his attention that in fact, this body has done things that we would see being very much within the remit of such a commission once its mandate is outlined, going forward.
Okay.
Kyle, are you all right with that? If I appropriately word an email of that nature?
You're
Sorry.
muted, Kyle.
my lips again. Yes, I am. I'm
Okay.
fine with it.
Read
Okay.
on it.
I won't be able to do it immediately because I don't have time, but I'll do it as soon as I can.
Okay,
Okay.
that sounds good. You feel like that was valuable to discuss with us?
I do, because I feel like if anybody was going to care about this, it might be the two of you. Otherwise, it's me, the Lone Ranger, doing it by myself and just setting myself up to be shot down again by the prosecuting attorney. I'm joking, but not really. Anyway, yeah, there you have it. On record for public to
I
see.
appreciate it. I appreciate that work, and that back and forth, because one of the things, I don't know if we'll have an opportunity, but one of the things that's challenging about this is we have one go-to attorney who represents the CRC, and we've and felt there's been personal thought and positioning versus sort of professional legal advice only. And so yeah, I don't know that I feel like we preserved as a committee most of the things we felt strong enough about in our output. So I think it still merits sending to him and sharing with the whole body, but I don't know if it would change any of the other than like just as a other than insisting that the chair of the commission be a private citizen who happens to be a retired Superior Court judge. We could have that. Anyway, just picking a fight. Okay. All right. Can we move on then to your recommendation? You want to share on screen?
Yeah, and I think that could be a sticking point too. Say, well, this person is retired; they're no longer functioning in that capacity. But I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, well, listen, I won't overblow it. I'll be appropriate. Okay, excuse me. So, do we want to just, so that is our almost our last bit of business then to discuss these two recommendations, and then, and that's pretty much it?
Unless we want to talk at all about council's conversation. I haven't seen any more about really what to expect there. Are you still planning to come over? Or
I'm not planning to come over. No, I'm
Right.
gonna, yeah, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna stay at home. I just don't have, I unfortunately have a couple more work deadlines I'm on this week, different ones. And so I don't have the time to commit to coming over tomorrow.
Okay.
You
And it
can
doesn't
Zoom.
sound like many others are going
You can tune in by Zoom too, right?
by, yeah, Microsoft Teams. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Teams, right? Ugh.
Yeah. So why don't we deal with the recommendations first, Mr. Chair, if you're good with that?
I'm good with that.
And then, and maybe as just one other piece of other business is the issue I raised in my email of, you know, the composition and tasks and duties of this Justice, Equity, and Inclusion Commission. Should it be voted in by the electorate? I'm not perfectly clear at what point we should be putting forward, you know, our recommendations for the composition, tasks, and functions, but I think that's pretty important for us to put forward, so that the county council has a clear sense of what we were thinking of when we came up with that idea. Something along the lines of what the Climate and Environment Commission did, but ended up including their amendment, which is not the way we went. But I really want there to be a record of what our intention for this commission was. I don't want that to be lost, but I don't know when to do that, given that it's really dependent upon this being voted on by the electorate. And so
Okay.
maybe that's something we could ask Randy about.
Do we discuss anyway? Well, we'll cover the recommendations, and then maybe we can talk for a few minutes about that.
Yeah.
piece.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Do you want me to share a screen then for the first one, or do you want to?
Actually, why don't I? So then you can talk a little bit more about. You can talk a little bit more about your thoughts as I. Let me see. Let me make sure I can. All right. Hopefully, you guys will be able to see it. See if I can zoom in a little bit more. Try that. No. Okay, are you seeing the
Yep.
agenda or the, okay, because I got both up. Okay. Article 8, personnel system. So I read through this, and I really like both actually. But go ahead. Why don't you take the floor?
Okay. Do you mind zooming in a bit?
Why is it long?
Is it coming? Ah, there we go.
I don't know if that's any bigger.
That should be.
How's that?
Yeah, good now. Yep. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so so what I did is I went back to the master table of recommendations that was populated with our prior amendments, proposed amendments, and that was informed by our prior our findings and proposed amendments that went to the full CRC, where we explained why we thought this was important and got the approval of the full CRC with these proposed amendments to Article 8. So you may recall, and so just by way of yeah, all of our recollections, we were suggesting that one of the proposed amendments be an amendment to 8.10, which had to do with the establishment by ordinance of a personnel system. And not just the establishment, but the maintenance. And we were going to propose that that language be changed in the charter to establishment by ordinance, maintenance by resolution, so that it was less cumbersome for the human resources manager and the director and the county manager had to go through less paperwork to get amendments made to the personnel manual. Do you guys all recall? Do you recall that which we were proposing in that regard?
I do. Before Maureen's committee worked on it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Right. So that makes no sense to put forward as a recommendation regarding 8.10, and I didn't include it here because that would require a change to the charter, and that's no longer on the table. And frankly, I don't feel it's important enough to put it as a recommendation to the county council, because in a way I feel like that's starting to micromanage. And if that's an issue that the human resources director feels strongly about, he can discuss it with the county manager, and they can discuss it with the county council and let them deal with that housekeeping themselves. That's my position on that, is that we do not put a recommendation to the county council on 8.10. So that's
Okay.
kind of the first thing I need to ask you if you agree with or not.
Yeah, I think let's work through this one, because maybe if we work through 8.2, that'll help decide that, I guess. I think that's sufficient. What you just said is sufficient for me.
Okay, because I think they're somewhat different. They're somewhat different in that regard. Like 8.10 refers to something different than what 8.20 refers to. So 8.20 changes won't have anything to do with 8.10, actually, because the exemptions will stand. We're not changing the exemptions, and those exemptions relate to who the personnel system doesn't apply to, if you know what I mean. So.
Right. Okay.
Well, be that as it may, let's go through the exemptions under section 8.20. And so what I describe here is that not only our subcommittee, but the other operations subcommittee discussed sort of in the absence of anything like a personnel policy, human resources manual that applies to those who are exempt from it. What is there in place to ensure that the conduct of people to whom the personnel policy doesn't apply will be will be proper, and what obligation do they have to uphold just basic non-discriminatory practices and behavior and conduct in the exercise of their duties for the county. So what I've reflected here is that both of our subcommittees discussed this, deliberated it, were aware of, based on information obtained from constituents who firsthand were able to talk about instances where certain people could not be held to account for their conduct, and instances where those people were exempt from the personnel policy manual, and so on and so forth. So I reflected, these are our findings in the front end, talked about the interviews that we had with both the HR director and the county manager, who themselves, and you may recall that they were on record saying that they felt quite surprised that all of these individuals were completely exempt from the personnel policy. I was really struck by that when we had that interview. And so what I did was I then wrote in here, just the two really basic findings as to why we felt this needs some attention, even in the form of a recommendation. And that is that we found an example such as that in clause 2 below that text there. We found an example in the Pierce County Charter that we mirrored our clause 2 off of, and it should be, yeah, sorry, I've got my numbering wrong here, but I'll get back to that in a moment. This B talks about having this kind of language acknowledged somehow, although it can't be an amendment, it upholds the core values that are stated in Resolution 31, 2020, to be finding a way to perhaps establish in county code, not in a personnel policy manual per se, but establishing in county code that even those exempt from the personnel section of the charter are still expected to uphold certain conduct. And so I just reflect that when we put these forward as amendments, the full commission, a majority of the commission voted in favor of such changes. And I put down what those two clauses were. And then if you continue to scroll down, so that is the text that we proposed that the full CRC voted on favorably, not the full CRC voted on with a majority in favor. So then you'll see below that is my explanation that in the process of reducing the number of proposed amendments for the ballot in May, the CRC voted to transform some proposed amendments from recommendations. The proposed amendment above was one that was to be changed to a recommendation. In this regard, the CRC recommends County Council code should be modified to ensure the language is developed pertaining to proper conduct of all individuals who work in the county who fall under the exemptions listed in section 8.20 to ensure that the core values and principles of the resolution are upheld. That's kind of, that in essence is the recommendation. And so what you see in the front end of that is really the background, the findings, what the proposed amendments were meant to look like, and then concluding with a recommendation instead.
So county council code, I guess, to be really specific then, is that they develop maybe a specific ordinance that directs this, because there's fairly limited other mechanism, right? I mean, another resolution doesn't do it. So they could provide an ordinance somehow that, you know, the only question I have, and it's a big one, is if you don't do it by way of the personnel manual, or you do it by some existing machine that's already out there, what do we envision? What do you envision when county council would do this at some future date? What does it look like? And is it like taking 31-2020 as from resolution form and making it or some of its components into an ordinance? That's a question I can imagine us getting, and I'm not sure I could answer that right now unless it's by way of ordinance, and if the ordinance, it does refer back then.
Okay, so, well, one thought, Kyle, is then we can recommend that they pass an ordinance that prescribes this, and leave it to them to figure out whether that they can do that or what they would do instead. Because I'll be honest with you, I really don't feel like going back to Randy Gaylord and getting his opinion on this, because the fact of the matter is they'll refer it to him anyway.
Right. No, in concept, I love it. It's what we were after. That word county council code should, that's fine too. But I don't know that council has too many mechanisms to do a should or a shall really, other than ordinance, unless
I think you are correct. So should we just adjust the language to that effect and say county council should pass an ordinance to ensure that language is developed pertaining to the proper conduct, blah, blah, blah?
Well, I'm not, maybe county council code should be modified. So other than the personnel manual, and this would be just a quick reflective check. What else is out there? Other than, I mean, the resolution we've referred to a bunch of times because that's the freshest, right? Or that's one of the freshest actions, the freshest action by county council. So I'm not sure. I don't know how to answer that, Jane. I think I just, and maybe it's fine as is. I'm just not sure if we're thinking that county council has only a few, if only one mechanism to do that, we should just say that. But I don't know how else they could. It'd be nice to have Kevin here for that part. I don't have any issue with how you've worded it or how that summarizes
Well,
the work above.
what if we got more vague and talked about the county council should take action,
Yes.
appropriate action to ensure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's really what we're after.
Okay.
Because it's a recommendation anyway, and so how they do it really is up to them. And it may be that that at some future date there is a directive to make that action take hold through the personnel manual.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, why don't I do that then? Is I modify it in that way?
How about, is it too dangerous to refer to the clause 1 amendment at this point? It probably is. Given it passed, it would be really nice for it to live in that phrase. If it doesn't pass, it would be, I guess you could just have it revert or it just wouldn't apply. But part of the core values and principles affirming a safe and inclusive community has been driven home or will have been driven home by Amendment 1.
Yeah. Well, my thinking on that is, excuse me, if let's assume that amendment passes, it will trump this anyway. So it will sit far above this recommendation. So
okay. I like it. I had a question above on.
I've messed up the wording a little, or the numbering a bit. I need to fix that. So.
I like the layout. I like how it's been, that the case is made, that, the existing is there. The case is made for why the change is relevant or desired. The thought process and the arc of work that was done on it, and this word right here, applicant, I'm not familiar with that. Is that a word?
Applicable. I just made a spelling error.
Okay.
Yeah, applicable. I need to do a final proof of this. I was just hammering it out this morning.
It's great. And I don't know if we just, I'd be ready to make a motion. I think Sharon's just having a conversation, but I like it. And I think in basically a 2-page concise storyline, it gets us where we need to be. And I think if this last piece is prescriptive, even though how you said it, county council action should be taken, or I can't remember how you said it now.
Yeah, the county council should take appropriate action to ensure.
I like it.
Sharon, did you have any comments on it?
Nope, I'm just observing.
Would you entertain a motion to, with these modifications we've discussed, to approve this and put it, to the full CRC?
Yes.
Okay. As read, moved then, and I would second happily that we use this, Article 8 personnel system, Section 8.2 be moved as modified for recommendation via county council. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nobody's left. Okay, very good.
So next
what-
steps, just so you know, next steps, I will, I'll make the, oops, sorry, Mr. Chair.
I was just gonna say, the public comment is, unless someone chimes in and shows up in the next minutes, I think
Okay.
Okay, so next steps for that one?
Yeah, next steps for that is I'll make those amendments, those edits as we just discussed, and then I will send it off to Megan, because she has to do her fixing of it as she's been doing to all the recommendations. Sharon, yeah.
No, it's okay. Don't. I withdraw.
Did you want to comment on it at all?
No, it's just that, people don't show up in our meetings and then they show up in the CRC meetings that create distractions, and it just bothers me.
Yeah, I know.
Have either of you gotten any background email from any of the public that's been reflected in the CRC meeting? Because I know you offered, Sharon, you and I were sort of back and forth on offering our personal email for people to weigh in. I've gotten a couple of pretty interesting ones. I just wondered if anyone else is hearing from the public.
No.
Okay.
You've received some?
Yeah.
Do you care to share them with us by email or verbally?
No, I don't think I will. I just don't want to perpetuate any and carry on any of it. But they're just one point wonders. It's not really anything that instigates a conversation.
I see. Okay.
Inflammatory. Anyway,
Okay.
I just wondered if anyone else has seen that. Okay,
No.
so I'm going to stop the share and find the second part.
All right.
That's the same. I just had it open. Do you have it in front of you?
I will in a moment. Yes, I have it here.
Okay, first one to share screen wins.
Okay. The race is on. The race is on. Ha! Found it. Okay, can you guys see?
Good shot.
That was probably my fastest ever draw.
I didn't think you'd be there.
Okay. So stop me at any point. Excuse me, if you have questions.
I think you can get rid of the blank page 3 just as a document if you're going to share it.
Okay.
Beyond here, but.
Is there a blank page 3? Oh yeah, my text spilled over. I was trying to contain it to just the 2 pages, but it spilled over.
Okay, mine didn't. So
yes, I'll fix it. Okay, so just again, by way of introduction, what the front end of this piece does, these first 3 paragraphs introduces the work that we did in terms of research and interviews and discussion as a subcommittee, and what we found by looking at the work of other charter counties and their law and justice councils and how those function, how representative they are or not, and comparing that with our own law and justice council here, and gleaning from individuals who sit on that council, how they conduct their business and the potential scope to have, a resident, an eligible voter who's a resident and community member sit on this body. I just reflected back what we learned and just said that, this Law and Justice Council, such as it is this Washington State mandated body, could be functioning in a more transparent and accountable manner than it currently does for the public. It could be putting itself open to input from the public. It could certainly have representative from community members on it, and be a place where, you know, members of the public can express their views and perspectives on how law and justice is handled in the county, with what is exclusively now a body of individuals who work for the county, including the town administrator of Friday Harbor Town, who sits on it. So that's what the front end is really just, you know, introducing what we learned and what we heard, and why we feel that our Law and Justice Council could do a little better. So then what I put forward here is really what we had already compiled, which we had shared with the full CRC on in at least one prior full CRC meeting, if not more than one. And this was supported, if I'm not mistaken, by actually a majority of the CRC. I'd have to go back and look at the votes, but I went in early on in looking at the code, the county code that referred to this body, which is what you see cited there under number 1, which is section 2.10.090 revised in 2008. And that the recommendation here is to broaden the membership and composition of the body such that, you know, the chair of the Justice, Equity, and Inclusion Commission or their designee, should the amendment for the establishment of this commission be passed by the voters in the November 2021 election, they would sit on this body. 2 other community members who are eligible voters, each representing a different San Juan County district and representing the core value of diversity as stated in SJC Resolution 31/2020. And then an open seat for a Coast Salish tribal representative who need not be a resident of the county. So those are the suggestions for the additional inclusion of representatives who are not individuals who are, you know, working for the county in some capacity. So that is number 1. Number 2 relates to the formalization of the functioning of this body. It should formalize the participation of these additional members at the Law and Justice. Oh, this was just, sorry. It should formalize the petition of these additional members as appropriate to ensure the business of the council is conducted in conformity with the corresponding RCWs. As there may be issues discussed during council meetings that should not include community members, such as security issues. So that point was made to me by both the prosecuting attorney as well as Lindsay Callahan, is that sometimes they do have to discuss matters of security, that those items on the agenda would not be ones that could be deliberated with community members present. So that's not a big deal. It's just acknowledging that.
Is that in 210.090? Language about?
No, because as currently that language has the composition of the council not inclusive of any community members.
Right, but is it just about membership? Who the members are in 2.10.090? Is there discussion at all about the relevant RCW, or you're just?
No, there is. I can't remember off the top of my head because I haven't looked at it for a couple of months now. The reference to the RCW is most likely there. It's a standard reference to the RCW that establishes the creation of this council in every county of the state.
Okay.
So I could include the actual RCW reference. I just didn't have it when I was preparing this morning. But what that RCW outlines is that a key function of this body is to be a coordinating body of law and justice entities that have to coordinate on issues of security. And it could be security related to the way in which criminals are handled and moved from courts to jail to whatever other issues pertaining to security of the courts or what have you. So there are some sensitive matters of that nature that the public shouldn't be privy to.
Sure. I just wondered if those are well stipulated, just so that can't be used as an avenue to hold these add-on members at bay in some way. or
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, we could frankly, then we could strike that because they'll know that. They'll know that we don't need that paragraph. They'll know that there's certain matters that really can't be discussed with them, with community members present because they are of a security nature.
Did you put to the extent allowable by law? Maybe what does the top say? I closed I closed my version. Before those bulleted members, a council should advise a pertaining to the membership of council to include. Yeah, it doesn't really fit. Okay. It's membership and composition. That's really what it's focused on. How it operates after the addition of these people is how it should operate by law, I guess, already. So
Yeah,
with respect to meeting frequency and location and all that stuff. So
absolutely.
okay.
Should I just strike this then?
I just leave off the second half. I think the first part is helpful. County council should formalize the participation of these additional members in the business of the Law and Justice Council, period. Or in the operation or whatever.
Okay.
County council should formalize the participation of these additional members in the operations of the Law and Justice Council.
Okay.
Or actually after members, and then you've got it already. Oh, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Strike at the Law and Justice Council meetings, and you've got it, I think. Get rid of over the not quite all of that.
Oh.
The county council should formalize the participation of these additional
Okay.
members in the functioning or in the operation of, yeah, something like that. Good.
And that's just with the understanding that there may be certain issues which certain members will not be privy to. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Having it in there might be good because it won't surprise anybody. I don't know.
Well, if this is recommended, if this moves forward, and we expect it will, then the council is tasked with adding these members. They have to go through an onboarding. First of all, they have to be selected, or there's got to be an opportunity opened for them to join. And yeah, I think there's plenty of opportunity for them to appreciate what they're getting themselves into, including some of their fine print. That's my feeling. Either way.
Okay.
Okay. Are you guys okay with this then, as is?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so just moving down to number 2 is County Council should review the function and operations of the San Juan County Law and Justice Council as follows. County Council should ensure that the composition, mandate, and ongoing business of the Law and Justice Council of San Juan County be featured on the SJC website for the public to view, and provide the opportunity for the public to comment in writing or by presentation to the Law and Justice Council. Additionally, business of this council should become more formalized with agendas and minutes to ensure transparency and accountability to the public. This would be consistent with the functioning of these bodies in other counties in the state.
Okay, I would put that in the form of a motion and say, this is number 2, right? Or it's actually by name. It's not, that's number 2, but the whole thing is just by name, not by number.
Yeah, the whole thing is by that.
So I move that we move forward to submit at the appropriate time the recommendation of actions on the San Juan County Law and Justice Council as written and corrected. Second.
Do we have a second? Sharon, are you a second? Okay, she's
Yep,
a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, no
Okay.
opposed and no.
Thank you. I will, I'll make those minor edits and send that one off to Megan for her final review and editing as well. And I'll copy you all and Kevin on that.
Outstanding. Okay.
Okay. Yay.
Woo. Yay.
Yay, yay, yay.
The two big things. Okay, so for
Yeah.
the rest of the meeting, we just had some quick conversations. So I haven't said as much, but I will get back to Lydia on also putting myself, including myself. There's, depending on what you've read, there's some doubt about whether or not council will call upon us or whether we're actually even on that agenda for tomorrow, county council for second pass at the 6 first amendments or propositions. But I will make a point to also be there to answer questions or participate to answer questions. And then there was room for any new business, unless any of you guys had anything else about what we've talked about so far.
Just on the presentation, on the answering any questions, Kyle, I think, I was trying to imagine, what, if anything, about the two Justice and Equity Commission, subcommittee amendments that we put forward might come up for any questioning. I did wonder if they might ask a question about sort of the second clause in the non-discrimination section, which relates to contracts. And so I just thought you may want to be prepared to speak to that. If they have any questions for that, I'd prefer that you did rather than myself. I think it would be very, very strategic and wise to refer to the fact that we were first, this first idea came to us by reviewing the King County Charter that itself, and you could even include the reference number, has their non-discrimination clause is applicable to the county's contracting. And that is actually where the idea originated for our subcommittee of the CRC. And so it wasn't conceived out of thin air. And then you may proceed to explain, how the definition of that was narrowed for our county based on your consultations with the deputy prosecuting attorney responsible for contracts, as well as the county manager. So I would be very short, succinct, and something else that I realized too, that I'm sure you've already realized, Kyle, is that indeed the devil will be in the details in this. And so let's assume that the voters vote this amendment in, then it will be the responsibility of the county council with advice from the prosecuting attorney to translate that provision in the charter into ordinance and code. And so I see for myself, this is my own sort of lay opinion on this. I don't see any reason why, the prosecuting attorney with the county council is going to make that clause so prohibitive that it would restrict, the possibility of small businesses getting contracts, to provide professional services. I can't imagine it would be interpreted that way. That's just my lay view on that. But the point is that will need to be the work of the county councilor with the prosecuting attorney's office to work that through. And King County sets a precedent for having done that.
But anyway, the language is fairly prescriptive and directing, especially on that one. Because we just changed seek, even the small word change from seek to shall, and narrowing that, I don't think there's a lot of, how they do that and how they direct that. It would be interesting, but figuring out the contracting at those 3 layers will be, and that might be that might be posed as a question meant to be not a trap, but meant to be more of a, okay, now you've tied our hands. Here we are.
Yeah.
If we take this at face value as it's written, this is potentially going to be really, I don't know what word they would use, problematic or overly selective, something like that. So I'm not going to take it personally. It's the good work of the committee. And so, but I'm also not there to pick a fight. Be interesting to see what comes up.
It will be, yeah. I just thought be prepared, because I would not be surprised if that comes up. I also wouldn't be surprised if stuff about the land acknowledgement comes up again. And again, I'm going to refer to you on that, because I feel that while I've already given some elaboration of where that came from, referencing the San Juan County website itself, I've provided background on that to the full council. I think it's entirely possible that a member of the public may bring it up, which you don't have to respond to, but it may prompt a council member to raise it. So I think you just need to be prepared to speak to how we arrived at that language. And I think that's the other one that could be directed to you. In terms of the other two, the first clause on non-discrimination, I'm happy to speak to that clause, and I'm equally comfortable speaking to the amendment on the commission.
Good. I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah.
The meeting starts at 9. It's currently it's shown discussion action forward charter review commission's proposals to the auditor. There are a bunch of PDFs in there. It is funny. It's action item 3, and then there's an entire piece on public hearings for. Oh yeah, there's a lot of different stuff. Mount Baker or Bakerview Road speed petition. There's a lot of material on the, and then an executive session, and then a budget workshop. So
Yeah.
okay, well, I'll be signed on at 9 and see you there, one or both of you.
Sure. Excellent. And
Okay.
the last, I had one last question, or other business, and that is the issue of the preparation of the composition, tasks, and functions for the commission. Excuse me, and the preparation of that language, and when we would be drafting it and B, submitting it. And so I'm just wondering what you all think about, should we be asking the prosecuting attorney's office about that, in terms of saying to him, we already have drafted some terms of reference for this body, as detailed as what the Climate and Environment Commission drafted for the tasks and composition and all the rest of it. We chose not to include it in the amendment. However, if that proposition is passed as an amendment by the voters, we want to be able to provide to county council our recommendation on that. So my question is, what is the timing of doing that? Because if the amendment doesn't pass, nothing would happen with that anyway. But I'm just wanting to know, is there some important sequencing here, such that language gets in there in advance of the vote, you know what I mean? And that it's being sort of given its blessing by our subcommittee and then the full CRC. And then that's what I'm not clear on. And I'm wondering, should I write an email to the PA's office asking them that question?
I think my short answer would be yes. My guess is that it doesn't have an avenue into the amendment itself at this point, just because timing. And we sort of in our brief touch on it, we said that ours can be less prescriptive than climate and environment. If we felt strongly enough that it needed to be recommended through council and be a living document, I don't think it has to wait until after the vote. It actually would go any day now and just be part of the recommendations. Is my sense. Or it's either that or there isn't. We don't add anything directly.
Yeah, because we probably would have missed the boat if we don't include it as a recommendation now. Then we'll miss the boat. I'm inclined to agree with you.
Have we seen that already? The whole committee?
Yeah, a previous version of it. I could probably just pull it up really quickly, just to show you what we had. and it needed some, I think it needed some final massaging. Hold on a sec. Got it here. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me just go down here. Be at the bottom of this. Yeah, here it is. I can show it to you here. And this is what we discussed with the full CRC. Do you want me to just show it to you?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
And I think it was a little more prescriptive than we probably want to be honest. I think we'd want to change it a bit. And it's unfortunate in a way because Kevin's not here to discuss this with us, but be that as it may. It's right here. Okay, so here it is. So, so further detail on this proposed amendment. Oh no, that's the commission, sorry. Yeah, so this was gonna be, we had in mind to include this as part of the amendment, but we changed our minds on that, okay? But this was the membership. The chair will be a member of the community, not a county official. We changed this in the actual language of the proposition that doesn't say majority anymore. So we weren't, this is all being edited based on what's in the amendment now, okay? This membership thing. Okay, and then we were also a little bit more vague than this in its composition. So we would really need to, we need to rework this based on the language in the amendment. So for example, you know, we might want to retain some of this language and then maybe adapt this a bit as per what the amendment currently reads. But then the tasks are, you know, undertake an initial community-based multi-stakeholder assessment of issues and concerns, blah, blah, blah. You know, whether we would want them to review county ordinances to ensure, you know, I don't know whether that would be a prescribed task, you know, at the outset. So in a nutshell, we'd really need to massage this further. And then there's we just can't do this today. And then there's the functioning, you know?
Do you know when that, can you see offhand when that was sent around last?
May 25th.
To make sure I have it.
So how much work do you think it's going to be to make the appropriate changes?
Oh, to flip it back to you guys? 20 minutes, half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Not long. I would just need to, it's going to be my brain influencing it. It's whether or not you guys agree. You'd want to look at it in comparison to what we'd originally talked about. But I know that there was a lot of pushback on some of this stuff in our full council commission discussion, just in terms of like
listing
this and
right, any kind of listing, because you're inevitably going to leave somebody out.
Yeah, and the other major thing, as I mentioned, is we already have an amendment. We need to be consistent with what the amendment says now, right?
Yeah.
So, and the amendment is, it sets the, you know, the boilerplate for what it's going to do. So then it's a matter of drilling into what key tasks do we think are most germane, and you know, and sort of lifting it to a level such that the Environment and Climate Commission is lifted, you know what I mean, in terms of tasking it and that tasks and functions. That's why I didn't tell Kevin this, but I didn't think it was a good idea to go that deep in the Climate and Environment Commission. I don't think that was a good idea. That was just my judgment, but I wasn't on that body. So, and I just supported it because I said I would, and I did in principle, but I didn't want to go that way with this thing. I think that would have been the death knell of this amendment, frankly. So I didn't go there. I didn't take us there. I didn't lead us there. I didn't encourage us to go there. Ultimately, we didn't go there, as a subcommittee, and I'm glad we didn't. So I would rather tone this down a little bit and not make it quite as prescriptive, but still keep the essence of it there, And frankly, given what the Pierce County one, this review has done, we could get a little more bold, So
Yeah.
I don't agree, or I don't disagree in premise, but I think, to some extent, it's either in the amendment or it's a recommendation, and everything beyond that, if it's something that's got structure and format that we really put a lot of work into, kind of insisting that it be part of how the council gets formulated, then we needed to put that in the amendment, which I think would have really changed I'm not unhappy at all with how that happened. I think it needed to be that it's very specific, but it's still very concise and stripped. It doesn't have all of this. It doesn't have this this background behind it. I'm happy to make that as a recommendation to council. If I'm a council member, maybe I want that guidance anyway. I don't know that it needs to be more directive or more specific. I think probably most of the ingredients are here on these pages.
okay, well,
if you want to do some,
yeah.
or you want to hand this off to somebody to kind of task somebody to rework it based on what the amendments now say. Keep trying to scroll it. Give up. Okay.
So, listen, I would be prepared to rework this. I'd be happy to do it in large part because I drafted it in the first place and in consultation with you guys. And I feel I'd have a good chance of being able to recall our discussions and our conversations that led us here, to put back to you something that would reflect that, with the opportunity for you to edit, like to change and add and edit as you would like to. I'm prepared to do that. I'm just so desperately wanting to finish our work, as you can appreciate. But this is super important as far as I'm concerned, and so I think what I'm a bit not clear on is when these recommendations go to the county council. I don't know that. Do you?
I don't know either. No, that wasn't really well established in our last ERC meeting, except
One thing I know for sure is it's going to happen soon. It's going to happen soon. Exactly when? I guess it's not going to happen tomorrow, because tomorrow's only about clarifying things that have already been submitted, right?
Right.
So what I'd like to ask you all then is, if I redrafted this and sent it to you by email, could you send me your edits, and then we accept by email?
Yeah, I think so.
Totally. And I think, amendment wise, been not having it right in front of us, I think I'm more interested in the tasking.
Me too.
Of as a recipe that it help establish the boilerplate, as opposed to the composition. But I will look over then.
Okay, well, if with your agreement, I will send to you. I'm going to send you the language of the amendment again. I'm going to send you what we had here in this draft, okay, for your reference. And I'll send you some clean language for a recommendation that will include the amendment as reference. Okay.
Yeah.
And I will confirm with Megan when these recommendations have to be finalized. And if it's by tomorrow, then away we go. Not by tomorrow, by when are we, oh, not by tomorrow. What was, oh, no, the recommendations aren't going tomorrow. We're presenting the recommendations as a full slate at another time.
Right.
So I'll confirm with Megan the timing on completing the recommendations in any case, because we have to get to her the other two we've approved today.
Just for your benefit or just for your knowledge, I sent at 1:45, I sent Catherine a question about whether we can approve today's minutes by email also. So I'll get you that reply. I just sent it to her and CC'd Kevin. I didn't mean to leave you out, but when she replies, I'll forward that. So you, and you know, I guess whatever, I don't know what else you have going right now, Sharon, but whenever you naturally come to have these notes, note format, if you want to send them to me, we can have them. That'd be great.
You mean just of today's minutes,
Okay.
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I could do that in a few minutes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, you guys plan on getting back from me in the next 24 to 48 hours a revised recommendation for this commission, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And everything else I'll copy you on, the finalized recommendations we agreed to. I'll copy you on my transmission of those, and I'll copy you on my sending of the approved minutes to Catherine, and I'll copy Kevin as well.
Okay. The minutes, 5 of them, I think, going to Catherine and company, and 2 recommendations so far. Potentially this is a third going to Megan. You'll send the first 2 well, sometime soon.
Yep.
Not waiting on this one, and we've agreed to get back to you with comments on the layout and content. Or
Yeah.
content at least. Okay, great.
Excellent.
Okay,
Okay.
so let me just make sure I got all of that in. I don't actually get that in the minutes. Okay, within the next 24 to 48 hours, Jane is going to send to Kyle and myself revised recommendation to be approved. Jane is going to send all of these minutes that we have now approved to Catherine and Olivia and also to Kevin.
Yes.
And there was something else. You had something else on your to-do list, Jane. What was that? I think you did.
And this, once she redrafts it.
Yeah, this redraft, revising the 2 recommendations for Megan, and then we've got to ensure that I have to ensure that Catherine has the approved minutes to be uploaded to the website.
So it'll get us current except for today, and we'll deal with that when she replies.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so this is, I'm sorry, I'm getting so confused between what is what. I don't know why my brain is a little scattered today, but so what you're going to send to Kyle and me is the
draft language for the recommendation related to that commission.
oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
And is that what we're looking at on the screen right now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm like,
It won't look anything like this because it'll be quite redrafted because we have the amendment now, right? It'll just be a little bit more on tasks and functions, yeah. And it'll be much more succinct, you guys. I'm going to make it short, to the point. You know, not overly prescriptive, just some guidance for what the intent was for this body to do, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Does
That'll
that
be a
sound?
nice bow.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
I think so. I think so. Like you said, Kyle, it's giving them some of the insight to the research and the background work that we did and the findings to give them some sense of what kind of direction might they give the newly appointed members of this body, you know, in terms of where the idea of this came from and what the original intent was behind it. And this is what we've presented to the full commission now multiple times. And we've sent them our discussion paper from back in April and then again in May. And anyway, so it's really just packaging it up, as you say, to hand over to the county council. If this is successful, this is where this all came from. This is what the CRC was driving at.
it is on a platter.
Yep,
There it will be.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
can I hear a motion to adjourn? And Sharon, do you have what you need first?
I think so. Anyway, you can make any corrections on what I send you. So
Sure.
if I've misstated anything, you guys will correct me.
Let's do that for simplicity. So can you guys all, I commit to reviewing whenever we get Sharon's notes / minutes, review those and get comments back so that that's a package sooner than later. Cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So moved by Sharon, a second to. I will
Okay.
second. All in favor of adjourning? Yes, please.
In favor.
Okay.
So I
Stop
want
recording.
one last thing, Mr. Chair, and that is